Tonight you got the takeover of the Chop It Up podcast. Big Father Naz come to take over the studio. So tonight we got LB and we got MB, my son. And I've been invited here tonight to talk about the times when I grew up in England, in comparison to the time when these young men have grown up, young men. So we start the discussion from here on in.
Yeah, do you wanna give him what do you go by your name? Because you've got two names obviously.
Well, I won't give my government name, but today I'm known as Naz.
Yeah.
And before that, I carried the proud nickname of Fox or Foxy.
How did you get that name?
One of my friends, his ex-wife gave me that name.
Why? Fox is like kind of sly, isn't it?
Cunning. I wouldn't say sly, I would say cunning. Thoughtful, you know. But we won't elaborate on that too much because we won't.
Let's go back then. So where was you born?
Well, firstly, before we go into anything, I'm just going to make a disclaimer that we're going to keep this as organic and rustic as possible. Nothing will be contrived. But what I say is based upon my own experiences. Maybe there are other guys that grew up in my time, they might have had different experiences. But tonight we're talking about my experience that will fall into the generality.
So yeah, where was you born?
I was born here locally in Reading.
Reading. Okay.
Do you want to know specifically where?
Well, Berkshire, yeah.
Nope.
No?
Nah, Delwood Hospital by Prospect Park. You see where your gran died? That same hospital there.
That's what's that now? Cancer?
Yeah, it's a cancer unit. Yeah, cancer.
So
why was you born there?
Because that was a delivery hospital at the time.
Okay.
But what Berkshire went there back in the day?
No, it was there.
No, it was, but I think that was Overspill Hospital.
Okay, cool.
For the baby boom.
So, was your parents born here?
Nah, my parents hailed from Barbados. I think my dad came in 54.
Well,
1954, yeah, and I think my mum came in 1956.
Do you know how old they was when they come?
They was young. My mum was born 1930, so do the math.
You do math?
No,
It's about 24, man.
Yeah.
It's about 24. They were young. And this must have been a big change for them in those days to come from what
they come here with no family, innit?
Yeah, well, most of them did come with no family. For what the Caribbean was at that time economically and what they were coming to after Britain had been devastated in the Second World War, it must have been hard. It's like me saying to you young guys, go start a life in Russia.
How many years after was it?
Different language and a different culture. That was only
after the war.
45, 55, about 12 years after the war, tops.
Yeah.
So Britain was still under,
a
lot of economic problems, and there was a lot of bomb damage from the war. So yeah, we were invited here to rebuild the motherland.
The motherland, what this land?
Yeah, because
Why'd you call it motherland?
no, I didn't call it that, but
Is that what they called it?
the English or the British, they had an empire that stretched 3/4 of the world. So they used to have a saying that the sun will never set on the British Isles, on the British Empire, because everywhere the sun went, wherever it set, there was a British protectorate or a place where Britain was controlling. So these people in the colonies, they really thought that Britain was the mother country. They really had respect for Britain. So they used to call it the mother country.
That's mad still, I never knew that.
Motherland's where? Where's the real motherland?
Listen, we know the motherland's Africa.
Yeah.
We know.
It's putting out there for anyone that didn't know, innit?
Yeah, well, we have to let them know. Look, we as black people from the Caribbean, or in the diaspora, should I say, you know, we may have cultures that are peculiar to where we ended up when the colonizers came to enslave us in West Africa. So you get black people in Brazil that speak Portuguese. You might have a Portuguese inclination in your culture, but you've got an African heritage. Like the people of the Caribbean. You're not Caribs, nor are you from the West of India, West Indies. Columbus was lost, he lied. However, we might be from the Caribbean, but we definitely have an inherent African heritage.
So growing up What religion was you like?
Well, we were Christians of sorts. Probably Anglican, if I can remember that far back. The irony is that if you look at where a lot of people were stolen from in Africa, they were Muslims. But we were forced into accepting Christianity and the images that Christianity carries to make us feel inferior. So we had to just be under the hoof of the oppressor so they could control us on the plantations.
So back then, do you have like church every Sunday or?
Yeah, my mother used to force me to go to Sunday school. Not make me, force me. And I used to have to go. There was no saying no in those days. Not like you guys, you could talk back to us as parents. Not in those days.
Childline, kids church.
Yeah, childline, yeah.
Come and pick us up on the bus, take us there.
You like
you used to go, yeah?
Yeah, I used to go like kids church back in the day.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, it was good, man.
Yeah, no, listen, this is
Used to make it
different.
fun, man. Used to make it fun, sweets, games and that.
Nah, not in our church, bro.
Yeah.
Just have a bag of elders at the front, getting in the power, doing all kind of madness, singing songs and like. I used to like the stories about the prophets, but all the singing and all that malarkey wasn't interested, mate. Couldn't wait to get out of there.
So back then, looking back now, what's the longest memory you have? Or going back?
Nah, like, you know, I can remember when they allegedly went to the moon. I say allegedly now because I think I know better. But in those days, I remember sitting with my mum. I think it was 1969. I could have only been like 4. And they sent Apollo 13, I think it was. I remember sitting there with my mum watching that. Yeah, I remember that clearly.
What was the TVs like back in the day?
Yo, TV was...
Black and white?
Yes. Your little sister asked me one time, she says, Dad, can I ask you a question? She was about 7 when she
I
asked
think it's
me.
me, you know?
No, it was Chandler. She said, Dad, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, what? She goes, in the olden days, was everything black and white?
I like to think that though, did you?
Yeah, not his age, maybe his age. When you was was it not? Was it not black and white?
No, the world.
Oh, the world.
Yeah.
Oh no,
because
obviously
yeah,
not.
people,
Obviously not. No,
people look at those old black and white films, or they look at things from like the Second World War.
Yeah, that's a
black and
7-year-old
white.
question still.
So yeah. So I said no. I had to humour her. No. Yeah, but TVs in those days, we didn't have like those massive flat screens like you see over there. We had some little box tin, bro, and you had to rent it from a company called Radio Fusion.
You couldn't buy one.
If you had money, you could.
Oh, okay.
In those days, we were poor, trust me. So you'd have this little thing, this box TV, about so broad at the back.
Heavy.
With a little, big thing, made out of wood. That
Like
wood
2
around the
channels,
side. 3 channels, and the thing was on the wall. You click, 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 ABC. That was like 1, 2, 3, and then you got a couple of radio stations on there. But other than that,
See, back then, yeah, would you have thought we'd have TVs like that?
no way.
Yeah.
Mobile phones, I wouldn't have thought we had.
Did you have them back then?
What mobile phone?
I don't know.
We didn't have a phone in our house until like the 70s.
You almost had the big things, innit?
Oh, when we did get mobiles, we had those big Motorola brick things.
Yeah. So school life, what primary school did you go to?
I went to a local primary school. It's called Christchurch Primary. It's at the bottom of Norman Road. I went past there the other day, you know, and I got kind of nostalgic. I was going to the doctor and I had to turn around in there, and I looked at it, I thought, wow, over 40 years ago, me go up here, you know.
They should do like a school reunion, don't they? See, like America, they do that. Did you go?
My school's done it, innit? But I didn't get a shout for it.
What you were doing at school?
Huh?
What you were doing at school?
No, yeah. Bully, innit?
The bully never gets the invites, is it?
What about secondary school?
Unintentionally though, it's problems at home.
Secondary school, I haven't finished with primary school.
No.
Primary school was a nice experience for the most part, from what I can remember. There was no racism
I'm about to say that.
amongst the children, because racism is a learnt behaviour. It's a learnt ideology. Somebody has to teach you how to be racist, and children, for the most part, they're innocent. So we never really felt racism as such. I can remember feeling teachers treating you abnormally, that I would say amounted to some type of prejudice or sarcasm, but the rest of the children, I would say there was any racism at all.
I reckon if we got a camera on us some years back in primary school, in secondary school, we'd be able to notice a lot of racism in it. Like, do you know what I'm saying? The way they treated us compared to some people, like, they make us feel like it's normal back then because they make you feel like you're wrong and you're shit.
Yeah, even in Iowa we had it a little bit.
Mm.
Remember my teacher, she said me get back in my cage.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
No. Did I come to school for that?
Yeah, you can't be stuck on her teacher.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, take the dad. I was like, that's not.
Oh, my mum used to come in and back then be like, yeah, he's a little shit.
When he was hard, is it, man?
Before we go any further, I just want to make a disclaimer that anything that I speak about is my experience from when I grew up, the hard knocks, etc. It's from when I grew up. Other people my age and some of the elders that preceded us, they may have slightly different stories. It was the same general scenario, but with that generality, you will get specific narratives.
So yeah, secondary school.
Secondary
That's
school.
probably when the racism come.
Well, I went to a secondary school that had a lot of other black people, Alfred Sutton. Predominantly, a lot of our parents sent us to that school. I don't know if it's because it was populated by a lot of black folk, but yeah, a lot of black people went there. So we never used to get racism within the school as such. And if
you mix in with like other white children, like.
Yeah, but some of the white guys that did try it, they'll get shut down real quick. Because some of the guys that were older than me, there was some tough guys. I won't mention any names here, but yeah, they were shut down people. So we had like a foundation from the guys that were already there before us, so we didn't really have to go through anything. But when we went to visit other schools,
oh, you like used to do football back then, like?
Yeah, football and rugby.
What was the best school back then? Like the school that everyone's like, yeah, they've got the hard man, they've got the best footballers. Or
that was our school for the most
school,
part. Yeah. In my time, I don't know about what happened before my time, but in my time, Alfred Sutton was the talked about school for like sports and minor.
See, when you used to go to like play football against other schools, did you get racism then? Or?
Well, some of the guys, because I wasn't the best at football and rugby, so some of those guys excelled me. When they used to go to play Windsor Grammar and Pigott and those type of schools, there was definitely
Windsor Grammar, I don't know.
some recollection.
Definitely not
racism.
Yeah, they will remind you.
Yeah,
They will remind you that you were a darker complexion.
What Reading Boys about back then?
Reading was about.
Reading Boys.
Yeah, Reading. Yeah.
Is it just called Reading?
It was called Reading. It was called Reading at the time.
So it's mixed. Like all schools were mixed back then, was it?
See, when I used to play against Reading Boys, bro, it's like they all were on enhancements, bro. All blam and like.
Yeah.
Bigger than everyone. It's weird.
That's what you have with Windsor Grammar and Pigott. These guys were massive, but they were the same year.
I remember back in the day I was playing football against another team, yeah? And see me start off, like obviously waiting to kick off. I was in line with some bowler, you know? I moved to the other side.
Yeah, that stuff used to happen, boy.
But education, what was education like back then?
You see, if teachers would have invested in some of us Afro-Caribbean or Anglo-African kids, we could have got a lot further. But outside of sports and winning the school trophies, I don't think they were really concerned with helping us to be well educated. Even though
if you're just good at sports, then like you got pushed a little bit. Or
no. A lot of the guys that I went to school with are really intelligent guys, sharp guys, but the teachers didn't invest any interest in us. You know, Malcolm X said something in his biography. And we hope everybody knows who Malcolm X is. But he said something in his biography, and I can ring true to his statement that one of his teachers said to him after he said, I want to be a lawyer. He said, niggers don't become lawyers. You could with your hands, be a carpenter. Why would you tell someone something like that at that impressionable age?
What did you want to be?
See, at the time, though, the man could have looked at it like, in the day and age, black people don't get that job, so just be realistic and find a real path. Or would you reckon he was actually trying to dent his ego? Like,
you said it more on yourself.
I don't know, man. Because in the times, you might have got like a good teacher back in the day. Actually, no, but a good teacher would always say aim for the highest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So what did you want to be?
Bad teacher.
You know, I wanted to be many things. But first I want to be a policeman. Well, that ain't gonna happen. Then how do you know they want to uphold the law and order and protect the people?
Nice.
No, that was when I was in primary school. When I reached secondary school, I wanted to be an electronics engineer. But I just didn't take things serious enough.
It's like for me when I was in school, I wanted to be orthodontist,
Mm.
but then I got to like year 9, I forgot about it.
I was in primary school, bro. I'll leave that for a podcast, innit? Another podcast. I'm gonna bring in all my pictures and things.
For me, secondary school was just like a big joke.
You take it seriously?
Yeah, same.
No.
Class clownsing for me.
And the irony is this, you know, when it comes to memory skills, diction, reading, I know I'm quite good. And people who say no, self-praise is no recommendation, but I'm not lying. And if a teacher would have took me under their wing and harnessed that, said, look, you've got potential, you can do some stuff, I could have probably made it academically. But things being as they are, it is what it is, and that wasn't the path that I was supposed to take.
Is academic everything? Is the academic world everything? Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously, I know what you're doing now, it's not a bad occupation at all. If anything, it's a success story.
No, but when you talk about being academic, it will help you in other walks of life. Even if you've got a menial job, it's good to be able to know and understand and educate.
But there's people with probably worse grades than you that can't speak how you can speak. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, because school doesn't generally educate you.
What grades do you get?
I got
Was it A's and B's and that?
in those days, yeah, probably got a C in math. I got a B in history. No, I got a D in math. I got a C in English and a B in history.
what did you get?
Me? We've got A and a B in IT, science and all C's. And I failed the rest of them, so that's hard as. And then went back to college, I passed with them.
Yeah, it's cool.
Wait, what did you get?
You in maths?
You, unreadable.
Yeah, I started from the back end. By the time I got to the front,
Was it unreadable you?
yeah. Boy, got a couple C's in that. Distinction in PE. That's all I needed to go to JMA. The next step, but yeah.
I don't think grades matter that much really. Depends.
Well, it depends on what you want to do in life, but I do say that you should have a basic.
You should try to still pass it, innit? But
Yeah, I do say you should have a basic understanding of math, English.
If you can add, times, divide,
the basics, innit?
it's the basics. That's all you need, really. You
Like
don't need
pi,
algebra.
things, all that.
Yeah, pies are quite useful sometimes, depending on the sector that you're dealing with, innit? But
Well, like I said, if you've got the basics of math and English, you should be okay.
commas, full stops, capitals, letters.
That's grammar.
Still English, though, innit, or not?
Yeah, of course it is, but it's grammar. But a lot of people, as a side point, they speak languages, but they don't know the grammar of the language. They don't know how the language moves. Like if I said to you guys, do you know what an adverb is? You won't know.
Yeah, I do.
Go on.
Adverb is like an action of a verb.
It's describing how the verb.
It's an action. So say for example like walking,
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adjectives and nouns and things there, innit?
Yeah.
Well, you surprised me.
Yeah. I remember that from school, but like I was in a lesson yesterday.
What about
It's like
pronouns?
a teacher.
What's a pronoun?
Pronouns like a country, innit?
No.
No.
Pronoun?
Name.
Yeah.
Yeah, name.
And then you get personal pronouns.
I bro, so I left school so long ago, I forgot about it.
I left school a long time ago. I still remember.
Must have been hard, innit?
You see with like what was it you call what do you call it when commas and full stops and that? What's that?
Grammar.
Grammar. I learned that when I left school. It all like clicked to me afterwards.
Do you know
It's
what?
Weird.
I learned
There's
so many things after school.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. There's so many things that fell into place. I thought, what? Is that how easy that was? Like
Yeah,
math.
So there for years, and I spelled cloths. Cloths.
You couldn't spell that.
Yeah.
CLOFF.
Yeah.
Cloth.
Is it?
No.
Nah.
That's what I was thinking.
Is it? You know?
Even like theirs. The
There's. Yeah, I know that now.
Yeah.
Theirs and theirs.
Last 5 years I know that.
Even
Before
school, I was just finding out how to tell time, you know. So not listening, innit? But yeah, back then obviously Roots come out, innit, the film. That must have woken you up a little bit, or
prior to when Roots was screened, for myself, and maybe generally, a lot of us weren't aware of what happened to African people when Europeans invaded West Africa and other parts, but West Africa in particular. We weren't aware of what they did because they hid their atrocities. They're not going to tell you what they did. Because when they're saying that Africans were savage, no, the people that came and stole our foreparents, they were the savages. When they talk about Africa, oh, we found them living in mud huts. It's a lie. It's a lie. We've got brilliant authors like Sheikh Anta Diop that every black household should know. Whether you're religious or not, you should know Sheikh Anta Diop.
To be fair,
You should know Ivan van Sertima. You have to know these black historians and these black authors.
Have you seen a list of things that black people have created? And
yeah, there's many things.
there's bare things you'd be surprised, like heaters and things.
But
I'm
we
not
should-
saying a heater, but things like that, of that structure. Innit?
But you know, we shouldn't be overly surprised because it would imply that blacks can't do anything. So when we found out blacks did something, like, wow! No, don't be wow, man, because who was doing the work when they had us in bondage? The black people were doing the work. So people that were enslaved, they had to try and find easier ways to do this work. So invention is the mother of necessity.
I heard Shakespeare had a black woman next to him writing all this stuff.
I don't know about that.
Apparently,
I don't know about that.
apparently it's all written by a black woman.
I don't know about that.
It's mad or man.
Because there's a lot of controversy about who Shakespeare really was. Some people say he was Francis Bacon. He's another individual that was prolific at the time as a writer. So again, the way that history has been recorded, there's a lot of stuff that we will never really know. But
Go back to the roots.
well, just before I go back to that, there's an author called Chancellor Williams. He was a politician from Trinidad, and he wrote a book called The Destruction of African Civilization. Tremendous book, tremendous read. For those that are concerned, because maybe people say, oh, that's in the past, we don't want to know about
read
that.
that book, bro.
People need to know. People need to know. And I think it's on ebooks uploaded to YouTube. Yeah, so you can find it there.
Yeah, going back to roots, like obviously how did that make you feel when you found out about what we went through?
Yeah, we weren't really privy to what the colonialists really did. And when we had history lessons about slavery, what they would do, they would have these books with a silhouette of a slave ship with figures that were just lying down on the ships, one next to the other, packed in like sardines.
When I was school as well.
Yeah. That's not showing you graphically what happened to those people that were on those ships.
It's a watered down version, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. But they were hiding their atrocities.
Monstrosity.
So for me, when they're talking about Hitler and the Second World War, listen, I'm not praising Hitler, neither am I promoting him. But Hitler, he only reigned for 5 years. We went through 400 years
Time and that.
of similar oppression.
Yeah, I've read some interesting things about Hitler. You know, some speeches he made about black people in Africa and
Yes, but all that will be hidden. But going back to the roots thing, when we realised that they came and they tried to make us subhuman, because one of the things they said is that black people are only 2 parts human, 3 parts beast. So therefore, this is why they called it chattel slavery.
But
They said we were cattle. So they would do things like breed you. So what they would do is they'll bring women from Africa, and because in African tradition, marriage was uppermost before you got involved in sexual relations. So these women, they were chaste, they had pride, they had honour. If you want to demoralise someone, what do? Take their clothes. And then they would bring them over to the Americas and to the Caribbean, and they'll rape these women to produce more slaves.
and then create bad diseases where the mixing wasn't really supposed to happen.
Well, that was another thing, that where the European went, he carried
Syphilis and them.
yeah, and certain other illnesses like the common cold that wiped out whole hosts of tribes and nations. So yeah, when I watched Roots and realised this is how people from Africa were treated, I was wounded. I was really hurt. So that sent me down a course of rebellion. And many other guys my age and older. Because this was like a shock to the system. If you watch Roots today now, it's going to shock you.
You see, at the time, bro, I think I was just ignorant. Because I watched it and I don't know if it hit me how... It might have hit me, I can't really remember, but I remember watching it at school and it hasn't left like a mad mark on me, but I think I might have seen things afterwards in it that have shocked me and seen more graphic things in it.
The reason why it hasn't hit you, because the time that you watched it and the time that we watched it is a totally different time.
Yeah.
This is the type of thing...
Go back and watch it, people.
Where you'd be walking on the street and a car would go past you, you black bastard!
No, do you know what? No, it
Listen.
did touch me. I remember now. Kunta Kinte, all that, man. That was deep. That was real deep. Real
Remember in
deep.
school, you're watching this, kids laughing at you, man.
No way.
Wet,
But I would have been scrapping, bro.
Yeah, in those days, sometimes you walk down the street, a car would pass, you black bastard! If you didn't run quick enough, you could get it. So it's not like how you guys have got it now, where everybody's integrated, seemingly.
So like back then, yeah, could black men mix with white females or vice versa?
Well, what happened was, in the Caribbean, there wasn't many white women in the Caribbean at those times. So when black men came here, they were both forbidden fruit for each other. You know, like forbidden fruit. It's not supposed to happen, and it did.
Fair enough, I know that.
It happened, and a lot of people weren't pleased, especially the indigenous females of this, indigenous men of this land, the people that lived here. They didn't like it.
Definitely did.
And if you got caught slipping with a white female in the wrong place, you'd both get it.
Did you ever get caught slipping?
I didn't really, after seeing Roots, I didn't really have any interest in Caucasian females as such.
What about that bus story that you told me that time?
Well, that's another story.
Was she white?
Yeah. We used to hang around in the town, because if you can imagine in those days, there was nowhere place to go. We didn't have any youth clubs or any nightclubs. So we used to loaf around the streets and stuff, making ourselves a target for these racists and the police, another set of racists. But one night I was speaking to a girl from Coley Park, and that time the 24 bus used to run from...
That's mad. I remember it's 24 though.
Yeah.
That's mad.
The 24 bus used to run from Townside up into Coley. So I've got on the bus with this girl.
Emma Green, innit? Emma Green up into...
Yeah. So I've got on the bus with this girl, planning to go to Coley. Who knows what would have happened? I'll never find out. I've got on this bus around the station. The bus is pulled through town, and back in the day, you used to be able to drive in Broad Street, even cars, you know. Yeah, it wasn't pedestrianised those days. So the bus is pulled into Broad Street, and a bag of skinheads have got on the bus. I'm like, blows, and I'm gonna get rough up. And I was only.
You just saw it wasn't happening.
I was the only Negro in the village. And these guys, I was at the back of the bus, got a proper kick in, mate. But the thing that was blessed about it, if you could be blessed in a situation like that, there were so many of them. When they all tried to pile on, they couldn't get clean shots because there were so many of them. So their stupidity saved me from a proper beating. I got some licks, but yeah.
You have to get off the bus straight away, or?
I got off the bus at Central, you know where the mural is.
Yeah.
And then
That's a beating though, so from town.
Yeah, come on.
That's quite
Come on, got beaten, bro.
They're not gonna stop until they have to get off the bus, innit?
Yeah, man. You know, I've got to go through like the tunnel. I was upstairs at the back.
Ooh, so you get tucked in from all of
Yeah, so I've got to go through the tunnel of death to get off the bus. And the worst thing about that is it is a weekend night, I don't know, Friday or Saturday. Normally there used to be dance at Central, innit? That night, no dance, man.
Oh, you got back, they were back to you, innit?
Lumps on the head, innit?
So, when you got off the bus, did she get off the bus?
Yeah, she did actually.
She crying, she upset and trying to help you, or just...
What's she gonna do?
Comfy, innit?
How?
I don't know.
You see you mixing...
But we walked up to, you know where the crossroads is between Southampton Street and Crown Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked up to there. And I had a white mate, white Rasta youth called Chris Rose. Nice youth still, you know, but he died some years ago. unfortunately. But yeah, I went by his house and he fixed me up, man. Yeah, just give me some cotton wool and fix it up. Asked me what happened. I told him. See, I smoked this, brother.
There used to be a stigma, yeah, behind like mixed race people, like that they're not all there. Have you seen that? Obviously, being from an era where you was at the start of the mixing, have you seen a difference in personality between mixed race people, black and white people?
I would say that's an unfair perception to say that mixed race people don't know themselves. It's not fair.
Yeah, not just to know themselves, but like confused in terms of actions, the way they act.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I say that's confused to say that they don't know. That's not fair for them to people to say they don't know themselves. What I would say is this: in terms of education will make someone know who they are, and people should be able to have biraciality, meaning having mixed parents, and benefit from both of those cultures, the good in both of those cultures.
Yeah, but I'm talking like a genetic fuck up. Do you think?
Rubbish.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. That's no, because a lot of people, no, well I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of tap mixed race people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
what do you mean tapped?
Tap, like, I don't know.
Scoobies.
Yes.
No, I
don't know.
I don't go with that.
See through school, it was always
the
mixed race youths that were naughty and that, like.
Yeah, listen.
Isolation and that, like.
That's probably down to parenting and people.
Yeah.
Do you think it's to do with the dad just leaving most experiences and that?
It could be. Now the thing is, and I say to you youngsters and any youngsters watching, when you're having these sexual relations, you're potentially building a family. So mind who you're having sex with. Now as a Muslim, I'm not going to tell people to just go and have sex. My thing is get married. But my thing is like, look, be careful of who you're having sex with, because that could be potentially your children's mother. And if she's a wrong one, and likewise the man could be a wrong one, this goes out to the women as well. Be careful who you're sleeping with. Because if you bring forth children from these messed up relationships, now you're both doing a life sentence. Until that child's 18 plus and can think for themselves, what have you brought them into? What have you put them into?
True talk.
So, yeah.
And don't just hear this and don't act. You know, oh, you don't want us to have fun. Well, having fun is going around making feral children that you're not going to father properly. Madness.
I'm very happy with my baby mama.
So the thing is now, sometimes as black people, we like to blame other people for our plight. Sometimes it's our own fault. Fix up and stop going around knocking at women here, there and everywhere, because you're responsible for them children.
So yeah, going back, so you said you looked for, like, you used to chill in town or whatever. That's where you used to go. Was there any parties back then?
Yeah, we used to have house parties, you know. There was guys that
Everyone mixed together, like.
A few Caucasians used to come to where we used to frequent, and those people really loved us because they were taking a risk being there. From the black people and the white people. You understand? So they must have loved us to be there. But we have a brethren, he used to have a sound called Lovers International. Anybody from our age, like a disco thing called Lovers International. Anybody from our age knows who I'm talking about. And in those days, Lovers International was carrying the swing. If you like, there was a team for the young guys. And this song used to carry enough enough girls used to follow this song. Yeah, so yeah, a few of the guys a couple of years ago, I used to be with them, man.
So what was the music back then?
They used to play Lovers Rock that I wasn't particularly into.
Lovers Rock?
Yeah, it's like a type of soft reggae where girls are singing about love and but Chew Me Through as a rude boy at them time. I never used to dig their music too much.
When did like the reggae sort of sound systems start or come about?
Well, I would say in terms of sound system, when it started in England, you have to talk to the guys that are older than me, like the earlier generation. They would know more about that, and maybe one of those times I could invite one of those elders to come and elaborate a little bit more. But I came into it when it already existed. You know, for me, I would say that I became conscious of reggae music around 1975. Now the reason being, before that, black music never got any airplay on the terrestrial channels. You don't believe me? There was no 1FM, 1 Extra, or BBC Radio Asia playing music that wasn't mainstream pop music. Or like Radio 2 used to have like tunes that was famous maybe 10 years before what was presently trending. So you had BBC One, BBC Two for radio. There was no pirate stations, bro.
So James Brown and man there was not on the radio or?
Nah, in America there was, but here now you'd have to buy the vinyl. And they were like long playing LPs, if you know what one of them is. I doubt you do.
The big black.
So,
Yeah, big black.
So
Yeah.
do you think you see these
Big
bands, you see the
black
bands like Beatles and these bands here? Do you think like they're only that successful because the control of black music? Do you think like they would have got overshadowed by other
Of
groups?
course they would have. Of course they would have.
It's a bit of a rhetorical question. I kind of knew the answer, but
Yeah,
I don't know
black
the
music
answer.
wasn't
I might know
promoted.
times.
There was an extremely handsome American singer. I can't remember if it was Jockey Wilson. Jockey Wilson is coming to my head still. I watched a documentary about Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry and those guys, because all that rock and roll was started by black people, but it was marketed by white faces. So they put man like Elvis in there. What's the other one? Jerry Lee Lewis, I think it was. But those guys, they love black music. So they just emulated the black guys that didn't get on television. And this Jockey Wilson, the reason, was it Jockey Wilson? I might have to come back to that in the comments, but there was an African American singer, handsome guy. This guy was pretty, but you know why they didn't promote him? They were scared that white women would gravitate to him. That's the only reason he didn't get the promotion. So it shows you, being black in those days, there was always some kind of arrested development. In whatever walk of life it was. My father was an orthodontist when he come here. But they weren't going to let him practice. Man ended up driving a bus for about 10 years. Until he became a work studies engineer. And even then he still got it in the neck.
Yeah, so yeah. Was you working these times?
Which times?
Where was you at? Going to parties and that?
No, because when I left school, my mother saw the potential inside me for education. But by this time, I already, like I said, known about Bob Marley, known about the African struggle, and seen the oppression of the white supremacist system. And in those days, they had all kinds of oppression going on in the world. There was a system called apartheid, where the Europeans invaded South Africa that was rich in minerals, and they made the black people live separately from the white people, while they were stealing all the minerals and controlling the beauty of the country. So imagine, we grew up seeing all that stuff. So it really affected us. I'm not working for no oppressive system that's based on white supremacy. I ain't doing that. So
I feel like that comes through to the youth today as well. I feel like there's a lot of youth out there that don't want to work because of the same type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
you know what I would say today? Take advantage and get that education.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the only way you're going to topple this thing.
But what type of
Fighting
education? Though? You're
fighting a
talking
man.
about going to university. You're on about self-education.
Fighting a man with his own weapons.
With self-education.
No.
Okay.
Secular education. Where are the black bankers? Where they at? Where are the black surgeons? Where they at?
See this banking thing though. That's haram.
Listen,
That's
we're
haram.
not going down that road now. I'm saying generally, not everybody's a Muslim. We need people in the establishment. If there's institutional racism, if you get black people in the institutes, they can change it from the inside.
Go back to
Yeah,
that. Did you work then?
Did I work?
Yeah.
No, because like I said, I had a rebellious type of mindset to those people that had done what they did to black people.
How did you get your money then? Or people that didn't work back then?
But there was many ways of acquiring money.
Such as?
Well, that's why I use the term acquiring, because I don't want to be too specific. But in those times, as I said, it's a lot different to now. So there were people that would, you call them petty criminals nowadays. They would do shoplifting, stuff like this.
What did you do?
You want to send me to go to jail?
That's like 70 years ago, man.
I think we can get a drift though, man. Obviously, you weren't doing what you're supposed to do to make money in the society, but you got to do what you got to do, innit?
I had mentors that were intelligent hoodlums or intelligent criminals. You understand what I'm saying to you? So our crime was like white collar crime. So we weren't breaking into buildings personally. We weren't robbing any banks or post office or anything, although we knew people that did. My mentor, we didn't do that type of stuff. Our thing was like a type of deception. Yeah, and it was low risk, high yield.
Yeah, would you say that back then you got used to make money from it? Or?
Yeah, come on.
That money from back then to now, like bread.
Yeah. And these were regular occurrences because in those days, security was a lot less.
The cameras.
Security was a lot less intrusive than it is now. For example, you could phone up an establishment and they wouldn't check to see who was on the phone. And you could tell them certain things. Then you could go somewhere and collect £20,000 cash. And there would be no trace.
Sounds like you know that. But yeah, so back then, to your time, that's when Mandela was about, innit?
Well, when I was doing those things, Mandela didn't exist.
Was you about when it did?
Yeah, but when we were doing those things, it's like every generation had a scam that's peculiar to their generation. So when we bust as youngers and we were doing certain things, we got enough hate from some of the elders because they didn't know about some of these scams. So when we come and we're making money, I know now there was enough hate from some of the elders. Don't hate, man, just appreciate.
So was you around Mandela? Was you?
Well, when Mandela did happen, the Donny that started off first, he was the elder, one Rasta brother. He's passed now. He's a real nice guy still, in my opinion. And I've never heard anybody say anything contrary about him.
How did he pass? Was it just old age or was it the one that got shot?
No, he passed from an illness.
Okay.
Yeah. He started it off and he said to me himself, he didn't plan to start it off, it just grew from nothing. He should serve up a little hashish, but he should serve up the right amount. Like if you bought an eighth, you would get an eighth, 3.5 grams. You understand? So when people knew that they were going to come and spend this 15 quid and get the right amount, and they're getting a good bit of puff, Moroccan, the thing just grew, brother. So people were coming from the surrounding areas to get their things.
What do you reckon, like monthly, yeah? That they was earning or bringing in?
What, at the peak?
Yeah.
Well, at the peak I wasn't involved in it. But when I was there, there's a time that I used to work alongside another brother, but he had a full-time job, so obviously, let's go out and control my day, innit? So I would have Thursdays.
Was that one Thursday enough to last you until next Thursday?
More than enough. So some of those Thursdays, by God, as my witness, sometimes you take £4,000 or £5,000 profit. Yeah.
Back then.
Back then, that's bread. What do you reckon that is nowadays? Roughly.
I done a calculation a few months ago. I was trying to show your sister something. I think it worked out something like you just multiply it by 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 15 bucks.
That is bread for one day.
Yeah.
No, on one day. I thought you meant from Thursday to Thursday.
No, just
for one day.
And the mad thing about it, that's how. Listen, people be queuing up.
Yeah. Where were police?
Which police? Police never used to really come there them times.
They knew what was going on, but.
Yeah, but.
Where's organised?
It's just soft drugs, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't organised.
It wasn't organised, no.
It was highly disorganised.
It got organised though.
What? Because a man got a few walkie-talkies and stuff.
Oh, I just heard it was organised.
Listen, you see, organised is when you launder all that money.
Yeah.
And when you come out the other side with something.
Yeah.
True.
That's organised.
A lot of man trapping, got nothing to show for it.
Enough times police went down there, run up on man, and took away 200 bags at one time. Another time, 300 bags from one man.
Do you reckon, did them police hand it in, or do you reckon?
I don't know what they did.
Of course they took some, man.
No, they take what? Take what? Listen, you see police corruption. in the shires, in small places like that, they might put a bag of weed in your pocket so they don't nick you. But in terms of them type of corruption, petty. Petty. You know, people need to think bigger than that.
I missed a bit going back to music, yeah? Obviously, I knew you was involved in like sound systems and going around playing music or whatever. How did you get into that?
Well, like I said, it was like a natural progression like everything else, you know. We didn't have any nightclubs as such. So I started off with house parties. And I feel sorry for the neighbours that we used to have in them times because them people houses I get beat assaulting on some serious bass. Them bass was all shaking walls and all them things there. And imagine, let's think, for example now, there used to be flats on, they're called D Road.
Yeah.
And people used to keep house party inside there. Imagine 200 people converging upon one flat. So you got a bag of people outside, in their cars making noise. You got a bag of people outside the party making noise. You got people inside the party making noise with music. So that whole night, peak for the
That
neighbours.
sounds good, man, because right now,
It was
times
good.
are bleak.
It was good.
People can't really be around each other.
Yeah, it was good.
So, when did you start taking it more seriously? Because also you went around a few places, like, was it performing, would you say? Or not performing, but like, just
I mean, when you took your sound system to play at a venue, that's what you were doing, performing. But we just did it because we loved it. You understand? But if somebody was looking, it was like, oh, they man, they're obviously performing in it. But we never saw it as that. We just saw it as like, yo, music thing. And that's what it was. We didn't do it to get money out of it because there was no money in it. You put money in, but you never got nothing out. So you done it for the love of the team.
what's like carnivals about back in the day?
Wow. Carnivals. Used to have carnivals. Reading had a good carnival. Oxford had a carnival. Even the Basingstoke used to have.
Before Reading?
Huh?
Before Reading?
Yeah.
Where else before?
Leicester. I've done a thing in Leicester a couple of times. But listen, when we used to take our sound system to places like Birmingham or London or wherever.
Well, Notting Hill.
Yeah. Because if you were playing the music there, somebody's got to touch the mic and thing, innit? But we never looked at it like we was going out to perform. We was just, yo, play a song tonight, and that's how it was.
Well, you used to freestyle or?
No, I got to write lyrics, man. You can't freestyle and then drop after video and then look like a clown.
Yeah, the wheel ups.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is get wheel up, start playing music.
Yeah.
Now greeting to them was loud and Savior Jesus Christ, who revealed himself this day in the personality of Emperor slash the first. Ja Rastafari. Bo.
Every time everyone drops that one, innit?
Yeah, you notice.
I hear it still. But violence, violence back then was like, and
You see a lot of hype about knife crime nowadays.
yeah, was that about?
I know it's increased somewhat, but in them days it was about as well. A lot of men used to walk with knife. That was a standard piece of kit. Maybe some man still don't walk with
You
knife.
wouldn't go jail for it back then, would you? If you had stabbed no one, you probably wouldn't go jail for it.
No, they would nick you. I remember in the day they used to say, if I remember rightly, if your blade was less than 3 inches,
Still that now, no?
is it?
Yeah.
If your blade was less than 3 inches, it was like it wasn't an offensive weapon.
Have you ever been stabbed before?
Yeah, couple chop, couple slice.
But see with the music, like, did you ever have any beefs with like other, not artists, but like other sounds?
What, other sounds?
Yeah, sounds.
Yeah, beef with certain individual, but it wasn't over. Well, my team it wasn't over no sound team, but yeah, that beef with certain man.
Did it ever get to a point to where like right, this is peak, like you can't come out of your yard, but you got to be weird where you're going?
No, because my team was if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Back then,
And joke for joke, if someone joke, you just joke them back in it.
the man what were guns back then? Or were they around?
Some man had firearms still.
Who's that mixed face brother that we was talking about with the Popeye?
Marvin Herbert.
Yeah, do you know about him?
Who?
Do you know
Marvin
Marvin
Herbert,
Herbert?
that podcast I sent you that time.
No, you know what?
Did you watch it yet?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh.
I knew of his father.
Yeah.
I knew of his father. I didn't meet him, But his Father's Day used to be about back in the day in West London, definitely. Because when I heard him talking, he said who his dad was, I was like, rah. You know, so
No disrespect with the Popeye thing, innit? It's just the easiest way to explain it, innit?
yeah, hey, freedom come for you. No, he stopped his badness anyway, which is it's a beautiful thing still. Understand? But you see, when he spoke in his podcast, I actually felt
That was a good
some
podcast,
of the things
man.
that he was saying. Felt his pain, brother.
See him just crying and I was thinking, right, that's
Yeah.
deep, man.
And then people say men don't cry.
No,
That's silly, man.
That was crying the other day, man.
You have to cry,
Listen,
man.
are you stupid, bro?
I cry enough times.
Yeah.
I'm in a business. Listen, when I've had to cry, I feel refreshed. I feel reborn. All that stress, all that tension, all that pain,
Dude.
it's gone.
Yeah, boy.
It's gone.
Cute, man.
Yeah, man. It's not like man cries all the time, but when man cries, it's for a reason, innit? I don't feel no shame in telling my friends and.
You see, a few of the guys that I was with involved in the sound team. I'm going to big up my brethren Echo. Big up Echo and Remy, Scully and them man there. Big them up, man.
Was that your group?
Scully.
That's Thingy's dad, what's his name?
Darius.
Jazzy and Danny's dad. Tasman's dad.
No.
No, I'm
Scully.
on about. What I forgot his name, man.
His name's Darius.
Always on the bike, man. Motorbikes. Rich Chase guy. See him on the show sometimes.
Do you know what? I met him in the scrapyard one time. I talked to the youth for about an hour. It's only when you told me who he was, I'm like, rah.
Yeah, D-Man's
Yeah, that's it,
fucking dad.
D-Man,
Yeah,
yeah,
Tasman's
yeah.
dad.
You see him, his dad, Echo, them man there, Remy, Fred and Barney, man like Inchai. It was like a family, daily, together. But myself, Echo and Remy, we used to spend a lot of time in London still. And that's how we got to know certain man and hear about certain things. Again, we're bigging up some of the elders, man like Eddie Beaumont. Eddie, will you say I go wrong? Don't be, lock off that.
We'll see.
Thank you. Yeah, man like Eddie and thing. You see Eddie I go along right now and people might want to disrespect him and do him like him as a pussy.
Can't do that, man.
Can't do
You
that.
used to roll with him, or you
Eddie was my bridging, man. Trust
Close
me.
bridge, isn't it?
Close bridging.
Must upset you, like now seeing
Yeah,
how he is
man. I
now.
feel for him when I see him like that, man. It hurts me. It really hurts me, you know that.
When you see him, do you get ready to talk to him? Or
Yeah, come on. At one point, he never
Come
used
on,
to
man.
chat to man
No,
still.
do you know why? Because you can feel embarrassed when you approach them,
yeah.
innit?
And that's how we used to have a stand-up, and I thought, listen, man, I'm going to talk to him, man.
Yeah.
One time I just go, Eddie, come here, man. You
Yeah.
understand? I forgot.
That's
I'll
sad,
give
you know, that's actually sad.
hurt me, bro. You understand? There's a video on YouTube. It's of Reading Carnival. And when African Root Sound was playing, you see Eddie stand up around the sound and dance and thing. Handsome guy, man. You understand? It's a shame that these things fall into our community and we get sucked into it. You know, my whole ethos, the way that I look at people that have a problem with drugs, I've changed the way that I look at people. Because look,
It's not their fault in the society.
huh?
Always. It's not always their fault in the society,
No,
innit?
no. Listen,
Back then, if people knew what it was going to do to them,
they wouldn't do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bruv, listen. In my time, what you guys call nitties, there was none of them time there. Because those Class A didn't reach our communities yet. You understand? And some of us older guys that had that dabble and come away from it, some man carried on doing it. They didn't stop. And they didn't see that downward spiral. Eddie had game back in the day.
Yeah.
Eddie, the first man carried me go Brixton, make me go meet certain big man at Brixton. Eddie. You understand? So when you see him now, just have a little compassion.
Yeah,
for him.
man's always yelling.
Eddie wasn't no dickhead back in the day, man. Trust me. He used to make P as well, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Did he do the music thing as well?
Not really. Not really. But them man, they would be around because they like music, innit? Like, just have regular dancehall thing. Them man, they would go because that's where we socialised as such. Yeah, it was a sound system culture where we socialised. Bun weed. Certain man would like drink and do certain things, listen music. But prior to that, the Rasta thing, not a lot of Rasta man used to drink. And you wouldn't see a Rasta woman or a Rasta girl, as we say. One of those Zion data.
You used to drink.
They wouldn't come to that. They wouldn't come to the dance wearing a miniskirt or batty rider. There was a respect. The woman covered their ear with turban. There was a respect.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, do you ever drink?
Yeah, but not mad. I didn't really like alcohol. Like, I drink a couple of beer, but when it comes to getting like wave up and all them things, how am I going to get wave up when I've got to go and drive all the way back from Birmingham or Manchester?
Yo, who is it you used to live with in Cody?
My mum, is it?
Yeah, she wears it together.
Yeah.
I know that story.
Yeah, so alcohol wasn't really my thing. But there was a point where, like we said, Class A drugs started to get introduced to communities that didn't mess with them. So no doubt there were communities of indigenous people, the white people, that took heroin. Back in the day, you couldn't find one black man that I knew that took heroin. You didn't do it. Certain men wouldn't even smoke hashish. If it wasn't weed, they didn't want it. But when these drugs slowly started to get introduced to our communities, some people started to use them.
So from then now, after the music thing, is that where you kind of found out about Islam?
No, what I would say is this. There was no point in my life that I did not believe in God. I always believe in God. Which God? That was a question now, innit? Or who God really was, that was a question. However, I always knew God was up. So when I used to pray and thing, like at night, West Indian people would tell you, said, before you go to sleep, do your prayers. Go on your knees, clasp your hand and pray. You understand? That's how we got brought up. Don't go to sleep without praying. So there was no point in my life, not like you guys or your generation, where you man ain't even thinking about God.
No, I was though. I was. No. I remember sitting on.
I'm saying generally. I'm saying
generally.
Generally. There's a lot of youths out there. You can't mention to God to them. They don't want to hear nothing about no God, man.
I remember being 12, sitting on the toilet on a Friday, just praying that I'll perform well the next day in football and that. Like, I remember these thoughts in it. I remember looking up to the sky saying, I hope I can come out of these flats. All this stuff, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I used to be embarrassed to bring girls back to my flat, innit? Because obviously the flat's not nice and inside weren't nice. Do you know what I'm saying? So I always used to look to something or someone for help. Do you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't my mum.
Yeah. So my thing was, I always knew that there was a greater existence over that which existed. Do you understand that? There was always a creator over the creation. I always knew that. However, I couldn't identify who the creator was. So there was times that I'd have God consciousness, like, no, I can't do that. But then there's times where you just void and you just do whatever you're doing. But there was no point where I could a complete dismissal of God. Even when bad things happen, I never said, boy, God made that happen. I never said that. I made it happen to myself. Or some good come to me, I say, yeah, God have grace. God bring me that. Even when I'm getting some money that wasn't procured honestly. Yo, God, give me that money there.
So can I touch on something? Because obviously when I do podcasts, family watch it and they take it personally and they start at me in it. So when I said I didn't look to my mum for help, I meant like in terms of taking me out of the flats, and I knew my mum wasn't going to do that or whatnot. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously she helped me day to day, clean my clothes, give me food.
And again,
Disclaimer.
And again, what I would say is this: look, many of the things that we as children have gone through, and you guys more so, is because of us having loose morals, having low morality. You understand? Before I was a Muslim, I used to try and keep it real with my permanent partner and her children. My money was their money. I never used to take money from that lady. Her money was her money. She always worked. But I was a guy that would always find a way to get some pee in the house. You understand? They can't say that they wouldn't say, but yeah. So my thing is this: look, for any youngsters that are watching, don't be going around knocking up different women, having children here, there, and everywhere, and you don't support them. And when the people then grow up wild and feral and you can't control them. Well, you
It's
created it.
earlier, man.
You create no, but I have to reiterate.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It's a big topic.
No, it's the.
No, it's
Seriously,
real life.
it's a big topic, man.
Popping out.
Because
kids.
when he said what he said, now I could just envisage what he was saying, and that's why I went back over it. Because we as adults, we create those situations for the children, and they ain't right.
Obviously, if I say that, it's gonna go into a long topic, innit?
What's that?
Because like marriages that happen nowadays, like so everyone just flipping everyone, innit? So babes, that's why there's baby mums and like, single parents.
Yeah, well, if people want that for themselves. Now, if women, and I'm not saying women don't value themselves, but if they value themselves a little more, you think you're going to come to me and I'm going to be involved with you and you can't offer me anything to secure my future and secure the future of children that I might have. Ain't about this fun just lying down at night, you know. What happens when I lie down with you and now I'm impregnated? And you didn't tell me you had another baby mum down the other side? What happens then?
Mess, innit?
It's a mess. That's what I'm saying. Listen, anything.
Have you got more kids than anyone else? Is just Malik and?
No, he's got older siblings.
Okay.
You sure?
I didn't even know that, you know.
No.
Oh no, you got. I know your sister, innit? Older sister. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got older siblings.
Yeah, going back to the Islam thing. How did you come across Islam?
Well, my journey to being what I've become, it happened in stages, to be honest. I wasn't looking to be a Muslim.
Like, briefly,
Trust me, I wasn't looking to be a Muslim. If anybody had told me when I was involved with that lifestyle I was engaged in, one day you're going to be a Muslim, you're going to stop using profanities, i.e. derogatory language, you're going to stop running around with women, being involved in class A drugs, unlawful money. If anybody would have said that, I couldn't have seen it. You know how COVID came and nobody saw it coming? That's how Islam came. I never see it coming. However, I think my journey started off by recognizing, before anybody told me anything about Islam, a man cannot be God. So I went through the whole Christian thing where they were saying Jesus was God. I rejected Christianity not because of theology, but what I saw the Europeans use Christianity for, to enslave people. But when I rejected Christianity, I rejected the commandments, because the commandments are good. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's wife, thou shalt not give false testimony, meaning don't say you see something and you didn't see it. You understand? Like,
No, but I feel like there was just rules for one people, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the black people had to follow them rules, the white people weren't really following them. Like how many times did a white person say, I see him rape that woman, and it wasn't the case. Do you know what I'm saying?
listen, I said the commandments are good.
Yeah.
In and of themselves, the commandments are good. However, when you tell people about these commandments today, they don't want to follow them. I didn't leave Christianity because of the rules. I knew the rules were right, but I threw the baby out with the bathwater because I saw what the Europeans were using Christianity for. So I was thinking, look, if they're using the Bible for that, burn the Bible. So if I've thrown away the whole Bible, I've thrown away the commandments as well. And this is when I had a kind of wild stage in my life, without guidance. So as I said, Islam came upon me like COVID. I wasn't even looking for it. So, like I said, there's no point that I was devoid of God in my life, but my older sister, and that's a topic within a topic, but she went to Trinidad one time, and she brought back these books about Islam. It was a strange sect of Islam, but they had some of the fundamentals. And one thing that really gripped me was the cleanliness Islam tells you about. Don't take drugs. Don't smoke weed. Why are you defiling yourself? Cleanliness is next to godliness. Wash yourself before you pray. Look respectable and presentable before the people. And we spoke about the wudu, like washing before the prayer. I was like, yo, this stuff's intriguing, you know. But I read the books, but I didn't act.
When do you act?
Well, in those days, the weekend used to keep coming around too quick. So, like I said, for me, them time, life was just a big party. Didn't take nothing serious in terms of what we should have taken serious. Not like we weren't serious about life, you were, about your hustle or whatever, but you got your P, well, next thing, go and get high and lick down something nice, you know? That's how it was. But that big party, you had to come to an end. A party can't last forever. One of the times I went to Leicester Carnival. Because all the carnivals, I used to like try and hit them, you know, Bristol, Leicester, Birmingham, Leeds, Nottingham. Just go all over the place licking down these carnivals. So I went to Leicester Carnival one time and did some work on one little sauna up there, nice up the place. When I'd done, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I looked around to my cousin, Yvette. I doubt she'll ever get to see this, but yeah. It's like, "Rah, what are you doing, cuz?" I said, "Yo, I just come check the carnival and thing." I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna see you for a long time." You know, she go, "Look, you know what, come around my place after carnival, innit? If you're gonna stay in the night time and go dance, you come around by me, innit, and chill out until it's time to go dance, innit?" But she said, "Look, my husband's gonna be vexed, innit?" I said, "Yo, me deal with the boy, man, don't worry about that." Giving it the big portion, innit, as I used to. Anyway, got around the yard, sat down, just relaxing, just kicking back. And she's always upstairs, he'll be down in a minute. What happened next? Again, it was like COVID coming on, man, innit? The brer came in the room. When I've looked round, he's got one of the white jubba, you know those white Muslim gowns. Remember, I'm not a Muslim at this time. He's got a white thing, like them African man wear, white imam, turban thing. This guy looks so pure. He looked a picture of health. The man looked healthy, skin shining and everything. So I said, why are you upset with your missus? So he started to explain that carnival is all this Mardi Gras something. And carnival is a thing that is not really our cultural heritage. So he explained how the Portuguese used to have these festivals of debauchery and devil worship. And this is why when you go to carnival, sometimes you see people dress up in devil costume. You understand? So he explained to me, yeah, this ain't our thing, we're just taking on something that was forced upon us. And then when you listen to some of that carnival music, you can always hear the African drum in the background, where they merged African music with their music. You understand? So when he said that, I was like, yo, that makes sense, you know. Then he talked to me about the Quran. And he talked to me about the devil from an Islamic perspective. And it wasn't this guy with a red suit with horns and a forked tail. This was an enemy that we can't see, who's an enemy to God and an enemy to mankind. And his job is to make us disbelieve in God so we fail in the next life, meaning we end up in hell. Yo, when the man told me that, I left that house. This is when I think faith entered in my heart. I left that house saying, I'm going to be Muslim. Again, the weekend came around too quick. But on my 24th...
nastiness, buddy.
When I reached about 24, one of my female friends gave me a Quran for my 24th birthday.
He was a jealous, isn't that? You thought he was a jealous?
I thought. So she bought me a Quran, and that's when I started to be more inquisitive about faith in Islam. But one of the things that I would say to anybody who's interested in Islam and the Quran, don't look at the chapter headings, because when you see chapters like the cow, no, there's a story behind that chapter. That's why it's called the cow, or the bee, or the cave. But the thing, it sounds a bit paganish, man. No, there's stories behind these chapter headings. But remember, in those days, there was not a lot of English literature about Islam. So all we had was the Quran. We didn't have books of theology. But the thing that made me know the book was correct, I used to see the name of Moses in there, and Abraham, and Jesus, and Noah. Those prophets I already knew about. So that's what made me think, well, there's got to be some truth to this thing. And the more that I involved myself in it, in terms of that research and reading, the more convinced I was that it was the right thing. But like I said, sometimes the weekend or that thing that you're used to doing is ever present in your life until you take a serious step You won't change anything. You have to take that step
Mm-hmm.
to change your status quo.
So how do you find being Muslim like, for the first couple like months or years or? So obviously isn't all the stuff that stops straight away. Innit?
No, you can't change overnight. But one of the things I struggled with was before that we
Yeah.
always used to talk about we're looking for the truth.
It was a gal, innit?
What, giving up? Yeah. No, that came, man. Alhamdulillah, that came. In fact, you see, prayer is powerful. There's one woman I could not resist, brother, in the early times. Taking shahada, you laugh. I had to make dua. Oh Allah, take that woman from away from my sphere. Because if it's down to me,
man's been through that.
if it's down to me, I ain't gonna do it. I won't do it. If it's down to me, I won't do it. So I had to ask God to remove that woman from around me. And it happened. Not that she was a bad woman,
Obviously, you just.
but I knew that I shouldn't be involved in certain relationships anymore. But because I'd been in those relationships for so long.
It was just routine and.
Yeah, routine.
There's like a piece missing from you, innit?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine a lot of people must have.
Had things to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Because prominence, I don't think that's the right
Basically, like,
word.
if you look at it, like, from what you was doing or what you had done and turned Muslim, that's like a drastic change, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be like a...
big word.
Drastic, is that big then?
It was like a 360 as I was corrected. You understand? It was like a 360. I would say it's a 180, it's a U-turn. Like just going down the road, you just turn back and just go back and start doing something different.
Do you reckon you influenced a lot of people? Not influenced? Or made people think, oh, let me look into Islam? You know?
Well, it depends. You know, some people are just haters. And they'll use your actions, whether good or bad, to put you down. And I found that was the case with some detractors. But I would say some of those detractors, now that they become more mature, they don't behave like that anymore. Because I was quite young when I embraced Islam. I was about 27, 28. So people still had immature mentalities. Whereas those people that said things then, they probably wouldn't say those things now. Because one...
I used to be one of them, man. I used to have a few Muslim friends back in the day, and I used to tease them, like, problems. I used to throw little things at him, get chased around by him, gaffer. Just a...
Park.
Just a... no, not throw. I mean, like, little
Yeah. Digs.
Little digs, but they're not digs, innit? Because I was younger than them, and they didn't care. They just give my licks, innit? But flipping... Yeah, and then growing up, where you see the light, innit? You see the knowledge behind it. You learn about Prophet Muhammad. And from there, boy.
My older daughter said that she used to get in the neck from some of the people that were her age at the time. Oh, your dad's turned packy and all this shit.
Yeah, your older daughter, yeah?
Yeah, Alexis, yeah. But the thing is now, it shows you the ignorance of people. And I know that stuff got to her at the time. Looking back now, you understand? But she never told me. She never told me. And if she did, I'd just go and whisper in certain picnics' ears. You understand? Because some people are rude, you understand?
Straight.
You think I could have said that about any of my parents' people, about what they did in their lifestyles or what religion they took.
It's true.
Mad.
Times change, innit?
The times have changed, but you know, I said to her a few times, I ain't trying to put no one down, but at least I don't bring no embarrassment to you. And a lot of those people that were mocking you, unfortunately, look where their parents are. You know, so everything has come full circle, and I don't say that with any type of glee or happiness.
Yeah.
I feel pain when I see some of my people doing what they're doing, living how they're living.
So would you say, obviously Islam, that's the best thing that's happened to you for in your life,
It
innit?
has to be, bro. It is.
Well, firstly, and we'll try and wrap up here with this next segment. Life has a purpose. Now, you were born as a Muslim, because I was a Muslim when you were conceived. And I did try my uppermost to try and raise you as a Muslim, although there were certain hurdles and red herrings that we won't go into that really inhibited how I'd have liked you and the rest of my children to grow up. You know, but if I said to you, what is the purpose of life? Why are you alive? And to the audience that might be listening, some thought provocation, meaning think. Why are you alive? Think of the bodily functions you have. Think of the way that you can receive information by listening. Decipher that information that you've heard and respond to what you've heard simultaneously. You don't have to think how to speak, you just speak. You don't have to think how you see, you see. You don't have to think how to go to sleep. You don't have to think how to eat food and then go and get rid of the waste. You have to do none of these processes. You don't have to make any analogies to make these processes take place. They just happen automatically. You don't have to refract light by thinking of distance like these cameras. Who programmed the human with this? And why?
There has to be a God, doesn't it?
There has to be a creator.
For every creation is a creator.
Yeah. So therefore, there's a creator and there's a creation. Why has the creator brought the creation into existence? And then you will know what, and the listeners will know what the purpose of life is. You're not here to just have fun. You haven't been created for a playful purpose. There is a purpose behind our existence.
Righteousness and worship.
Those are parts of it. However, there's certain things that we do in life that help us to live. For example, people go to work. And one employment sphere feeds into another. I've got a bad tooth. It's good for my dentist. But if you crash your car, and hopefully you don't, and you don't get injured, it's good for people to repair cars. When you're hungry, it's good for Perry. But then Perry has to go to the market and buy produce. So each thing feeds into another thing. So with that being said, okay, that's just for your provision in life, how you earn lawful money. But why are you here? You're not just here to earn money. Oh, I'm here to procreate, meaning to make more children. Well, that's a part of it, but that's not your initial purpose of creation.
One last question. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say maybe to shepherd like life as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like look after the animals and whatnot. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, actually, you just mentioned something in the Quran that you probably don't even know that you've mentioned. God says that He created man to be like a viceroy or a khalifa, or in lay English, a caretaker on the earth.
Yeah.
But do we take care of the earth?
No.
We mash up our surroundings. Because most of us are living trying to be belligerent to God. Trying to say God doesn't exist because we don't want to follow those rules. And when you don't follow the rules, you will automatically be upon misguidance. Listen, you see in life, and for the listeners, if you're not serving the creator, you're automatically serving his enemy. You can't have two masters. Now, surmise this, think of this. If somebody said, sell me one of your eyes, I'll give you 1 million for one of your eyes. Would you sell it?
No.
Why not? Would you?
No,
I see you laughing.
No, do you know why? Because he paused and asking. What?
Idiot, man.
Would you sell one of your eyes?
Not for any man in the world.
Why not?
That's dead.
Do you know what?
Need my eyes, isn't it?
Before I'd say because I want to see, but now it's just haram to touch your body. Do you know what I'm saying? Like to do anything that's
I would say
abnormal.
this. I would
Do
say
you know what I'm
this.
saying? Like,
I would say
I want to
this.
get rid of my tattoos, everything.
I would say this. The tattoos you've done in ignorance. I would say you're not held responsible for that. If you sold one of your eyes, can you go and buy another?
No.
That means it's priceless.
Yeah.
So, whomsoever designed humans with all of these attributes we have, surely this designer is worthy of us thanking
True.
and praising for what we've been given. Imagine you were blind. But I know people that are blind, they go to the mosque more than me. They ain't saying, oh, God made me blind, so I'm not going to work. How many other things Has this person that's blind recognised that I've still got my hearing? I can still eat. I have no major illnesses. Blindness is just a test that I've been given. And if I pass the test, boom.
I'm just going to give one more question before we wrap it up. Not even a question, but for anyone that's watching at home, or not say like wants to become Muslim or is interested in Islam, or hasn't taken that step yet and struggling, what advice would you give?
What I say is
You can message us as well, and we can speak to whoever you want us to ask as well.
Or we can even come back on.
What I would say is this. Life has a companion. His name is death. Death has a companion called life. They go hand in hand. You can't be alive in this world and not die. Do you know anybody who has not died? Only Jesus, peace be upon him.
Donny tried it.
Only Jesus, peace be upon him, never died. And he'll return nearer to the end of time, the day of judgment, to do his thing with due respect. And he will die an earthly death and be resurrected on the day of judgment to be judged like everyone else. Jesus is not God. He never claimed to be God.
He used to tell them that worship me.
So with that being said, everybody's going to die. So death is a journey. Imagine someone said to you, you got a free holiday. Where you guys go? Iron Apple, one of them places? Well, what's the holiday? That's the one I know now. Ibiza. Somebody said, boom, you got a holiday to Ibiza. Here's a ticket free. How are you gonna get there?
Plane.
What, without a passport?
Oh, passport.
How are you gonna get there? You need your passport, you need spending money, you've got to buy some kit to fly with. So you're gonna prepare for your journey, innit? Death. Another journey that has to be prepared for. We live in a society where death is a taboo. You can't talk about death. That's morbid, that's dark, we don't want to talk about death. It's gonna happen. If you want to bet your bottom dollar, if you want to bet your bottom dollar, knowing you're gonna win, bet on death. You're gonna be around to collect the winnings, but you're gonna die. You're going to die, that's a certainty. What happens beyond death? Oh, nobody knows. No, we do know. Because the same creator that created life has told us what happens after life is taken away from us. The human soul is eternal. It cannot die. It's been created for eternity. All that happens is you travel through, like when we leave, we're going to go through that door. Death is just a doorway to the next dimension beyond death. And that's when you're going to see whether you should have listened or not listened. But then it's too late. You can't come back.
You know, I was thinking the same, yeah? Maybe it's like a Christian person watching us and agree with certain things. Come on, debate as well.
Yeah, we can have...
To be honest, we haven't really touched on the differences. So they would agree with a lot of things he said.
We can have interfaith dialogue, providing it's based upon knowledge and not emotion.
Yeah,
and we let the scriptures speak. We let the Bible speak and we let the Quran speak.
No debates.
That can be arranged at another point, and that'd be a very interesting topical podcast. But I myself, I wouldn't put myself forward for that type of debate. Not that I can't do it, but I don't think that my debating skill, my manners would do Islam justice.
You're not supposed to debate anyway, I don't think.
Discuss, and even in discussion, I don't think that my...
You'd have to solely recite, and that was it.
You're passionate about something, isn't it? So when
it might seem like I'm being oppressive, and it's how it is. Even when I've debated with Christians at Hyde Park, it can get sticky because we're both trying to get our points across.
Bare noise, no one's listening.
Yeah, it gets frustrated, and then so I myself, I wouldn't debate like that personally, unless there was a pre-arranged topic that nobody's allowed to stray from, and you had a strong referee.
Talk at the same time.
Yeah, you had. Remember, watch that Jamaican program, Religious Hard Talk. If it was something like that, then. But if not, I wouldn't involve myself personally.
We'll probably wrap up there. But any questions, whatever, feel free to put in the comments.
I still think that there was a lot of stuff that we could have touched upon in terms of growing up between the 70s and
We come back and do like a
1990s.
little part 2, going more about that topic in it instead of because we had to go through our whole life. So we can come back on and do that as well. Talk about the boom rush and all that stuff like Black History, whatever. You think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Having more with someone else. Yeah, but yeah, we'll wrap it up anyway.
So if we've said anything that's been untoward, maybe offended, that wasn't our intent. We didn't come to offend anybody. We didn't come to fan the flames of division, stoke racism.
I don't think we've even slightly done that, you know.
Some people do.
Sometimes we have to be careful because those people that live with the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessed be upon him, they used to have a maxim or statement. They used to say, be careful of the words that you possess before they're spoken. Because before you speak the word, you own them. But once you've spoken that word owns you. So be careful of what you say.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Say no more. Well,
Go on, you do it.
it's a Chop It Up podcast. Thanks for coming on. I don't want to call you Foxy, but yeah, Naz. And yeah. Till next time.
Boom.